Waiting. It says I'm waiting on my.
It just said stream is live.
Greetings and salutations, test takers. I'm not sure. Oh, there we go. Okay, so we're looking good. We've been celebrating the holiday season, so kind of back. Hard to get back in the group, but welcome to our every Tuesday live stream Q&A. I am the Series 7 Guru, aka Dean Tinney. Brian Lee is our always very special guest. He is the managing member of Test Geek Exam Prep, and he is always welcome here. So we'll take care of some housekeeping, and then we'll go ahead and help you with any content you have. Hopefully we can have some fun, some fellowship, and some testable content. Let's see. Let me go find our. We took 2 weeks off from the live streams to enjoy the holiday season, so a little rusty. Tell us what test you're taking, where you're joining us from. You are not alone. We have many cohorts that you can find some people of us in a similar situation. We have on Facebook, we have our baby brokers doing hack tricks, scrolling down on the bottom. We have, Brian, already 2,700 active members in that cohort. The idea is baby brokers is a term of endearment for rookies in the securities industry. A hat trick is 3 successes in a limited time frame, like SIE 766 or SIE 663. You get the general idea. Lots and lots of activity. We also have some Reddit communities. We have some subreddits as well. If you're taking the Series 6, that's getting more active. Our Series 6 subreddit, R Series 6. We have a SIE and 7 subreddit called R Series 7. We have a R66 Reddit for all the NASA exams, 63, 65, and 66. We have a subreddit for 9s, 10s, 24s. And sometimes we get 4s and 57s join us over there as well. So feel free to join the test-taking tribe of your choice. It's sometimes good to know that you have, particularly now that most of us, Brian and I come from a long ago age where there'd be 20, 25 people taking the exam and they'd, be hired at the same time. They go through this whole process at the same time. Very rarely now is that the case. I mean, there's still some people that do that, but when we were doing it that way, it was so nice because if you had a bad day, somebody in your cohort would buck you up with a cocktail or take you to lunch or something. And a lot more people now are doing this on their own, whether they have a cohort, maybe it's remote, whatever it is. So try and get plugged in if you can. It helps with your psychology and your mental state. If you're looking for a free supplement to your paid study materials, there's nothing better than my YouTube channel. It's completely free. There are over 2,300 videos. We have over 9 million views, 65,000 subscribers. Listen, it's a buffet. Take what you like, leave what you don't. But, you want to, the playlists are in suggested watch order and the videos are in suggested watch order. So, it's a buffet. If you don't like something, skip it. Now, if you're looking for a particular piece of information, it's okay. Brian and I know today we're going to get asked questions that we've answered many times and live on in video format. And you could easily just put it in the channel search bar, margin, accrued interest, whatever, CMOs, and all that content would magically appear. So it's okay, but use that channel search bar if you're using, looking for something in particular. If you're looking for a paid supplement, there's no better paid supplement, I think, than a Kaplan Q Bank. I mean, where is my little thing? There we go. A Kaplan Q Bank. You can get it in Series 7, for example, with the discount code. You can get it for $55.80, over 3,600 questions. You can customize it. It helps you more easily identify areas for remediation. And so I highly recommend it. It's a great investment. Now, our friend Brian doesn't have a Q Bank and never will probably have a Q Bank. But he does have, I think he's a master distiller in terms of being able to distill this information from those study materials to the actual test. Now, I joked about a Q Bank, but he does have, I think, as part of his video class, it's a supplement, by the way. I'm a supplement, Brian's a supplement. A lot of time, Brian, you're so good. I hear people recommending you as a standalone thing. I go, no, Brian doesn't hold himself out as that. He makes it very clear he's a bridge. But if you're looking for a great bridge in distillation, check out Test Geek. And Brian's been kind enough to give our viewers a 20% discount. That discount code is Guru20. So the Kaplan discount code is Guru15. That works for all Kaplan products and services. And Test Geek, it's Guru20, and that too works for everything. Now, I have felt bad that I am completely booked. And so I've been trying to provide some more access. Everything on the YouTube channel is free. Almost nothing on my booking page is free. It's tutoring. It's $395 an hour, and I'm sold out. So to have access to that, I'm trying to put some more free things up. We have a Q&A jam session. That's free for everybody. I've opened up my office hours, which are usually for paid students. But, like I say, it'd be hard for you to become a paid student for the next 2 or 3 weeks. So I've opened that up to all comers as well. If you win the drawing tonight, you do not win a tutoring session at a date and time of your choice. What you win is, again, the coaching call. You would go to my booking page. You go to the class tab. You'll see coaching call for drawing winners. You'll see the weekly Q&A. You'll see the office hour. On the class tab, you'll see the free things. As I said, those are the only free things. We also do a book club that's available on that as well. And you can find that at deantenneytutoring.setmore.com. Okay, I think we got a housekeeping out of the way. If you have a question, it's helpful. Brian and I can sometimes figure out what exam you're taking by the nature of your question. But it would be helpful if you tell us first what exam it is that you're asking a question about, SIE, for example, or Series 7Q, followed by that. It makes it easier for us to kind of pick you out of the chat. All right, Brian, anything else on the housekeeping? We haven't done this in like 3 weeks, so a little rusty. Did we forget anything? I don't think so.
I don't think so. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Hope everyone had a great holiday. I know I did.
Yeah. Right back at you. Happy New Year 2026. It's time to get back to the execution of our study plans. And so, like I say, it's been, I know, Brian, has it been tough for you? It's been kind of tough for me to get back into the swing of things.
It really was yesterday. I finally got back into it. It was pretty tough.
Puerto Rico. I failed twice with the same grade. I've been watching your videos. Have been very helpful. I'd like to know, now, if you put stuff in chat, you're putting your private business on blast. But it would be helpful if we knew what those twice same grades were. The draws are different. So it's not like you got the same test and you got the same grade. But I'd like to know, were you in the high 60s? Were you in striking distance? Where were you at on that 66? I had somebody, Brian, who got a testing victory the other day, called me Sunday. She's a student, and I worry when you're testing tomorrow because I believe in the Hippocratic Oath, first do no harm. And I met with her Sunday morning, and I said, listen, you're just getting your own way here. I mean, I hate to sound like tough love, but you're adding things to questions. You're not going with your gut. As Brian says, if you're thinking, you're sinking, and that certainly was what she was doing. And then she called me, when I was at the lounge, smoking a cigar and whiskey. I said, this is not good. I said, I'm smoking and drinking. You got about 60 seconds and it starts now. What is it that you want to do? Right. Good news. She passed and I was able to talk her for lunch, but those scores would be helpful. 65 tomorrow in Oklahoma, where the wind comes sweeping down the plains. We'll be with you. Sending you some good test vibes. Make sure you get a good night's sleep. I was quoting a line to a guy who's a actor, and I forget the first time I quoted a line to him. I said, if you don't do for mama, mama doesn't do for you. And he was excited. He goes, that's Chicago. I go, yeah, it comes from Chicago. I said, but who came up with this line? I'm not calling Brian a liar. I'm just making it clear what a liar I am if Brian's telling the truth. That comes from Oklahoma. That was the peddler in Oklahoma. So you probably know this, Casey, but we call them the Sooners. When we have in our business called gun jumping, Casey, gun jumping is when you're ahead of the IPO process, the cooling off period. Where it comes from, Casey, is that in the Oklahoma, the Sooners, you've heard that term, the Sooners, the idea was they're going to shoot the gun, and then you're going to take your horse, and you're going to ride out there and stake your claim of 40 acres under the Homestead Act. And so Brian and I are going to stake 40 acres, and Brian's at the starting line. He's wondering where Dean is. The gun goes off. He gets to the piece of property we're talking about, and I have it staked already. And Brian says, you didn't wait for the gun? I said, no. Brian, were you silly enough to sit there and wait for the gun? I've been here all day long. I'm a Sooner. I got here before I was supposed to be, right? So we'll be seeing you good vibes. Past the 7 right before Christmas. What a great way to do it. Grog Hound. I like that. I think that just makes Christmas so much more enjoyable. Bought the Test Geek exam, which was very helpful. Okay. So he didn't buy your whole thing. It looks like he just bought a la carte. That's all right. Brian sells a la carte. You can buy the whole fine dining experience, or you can buy the French fries on the side, steak frites if you'd like. Helpful is watching your videos. How many hours do you suggest on average? Everybody's different on the 66. If I were your corporate trainer, your full-time studier, I'd want that done in a couple of weeks. But everybody's an individual on that. I told you the young lady I was helping who passed yesterday, I think she was taking too much time. And what happened is she started overthinking things and she's forgetting things she did in the past. And so I'm not a big fan of taking longer. What do you think, Brian? I think about 2 weeks.
No, 66. You know where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
Start with our podcast on the Series 66.
Oh, there you go. We have a great podcast.
That should give you a pretty good view.
I got to get better at self-promotion. No, I'm joking. Brian and we are very blessed, so we don't really need you to do anything with us. But we did do a nice overview that gives you the terrain. I'll put it in the video description as a link called Getting Your Kicks on Series 66. We start off with who takes it. I think it's like 4 or 5 episodes. We've had a lot of people say that was very, very helpful. In an ideal world, we'd like you to read the book cover to cover. But we know that Brian and I know that some people don't read the book cover to cover without taking notes just to see what it looks like, right? So when you're studying, you're kind of more informed of what the content looks like. And we made that with the intent it gives you that same kind of a feel, the overview, what the terrain looks like ahead, that kind of thing. So yeah, great recommendation, Brian. What about the 2 weeks though? What do you think about that?
Yeah, 2 weeks is about average. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And the first time of the new year.
Passing the 7.
Woohoo! And our drink this evening for our victorious, our toasting beverage for our victorious test takers is a Lagavulin. Oh, what happened to my glass? I got no glass. Boom. And Brian, you know I'm pretty blessed. And if you're going to buy me a gift, I can buy. This is a gift. And our victory cigar today is the Romeo and Julieta 150th anniversary. But Brian, this was a gift. And I'm a little concerned because the cigar feels tough. I don't think it was humidified properly. So maybe I'm going to have to regift him a humidor. Say, listen, if you're going to buy a nice cigar, make sure you don't buy it at a liquor store and make sure and here we go. Let's toast this puppy up. Ooh.
My goodness.
I like flame. We'll see how long that stays lit. Passed, not passed. But hey, I passed the 7 still. Okay, we got it.
Yeah.
Aaron, thanks for joining us on LinkedIn. We broadcast to LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. YouTube is our platform of choice, but always warms my heart when I see somebody from LinkedIn or Facebook. Help me pass the SIE 763 in 3 months. Love it. I wake up saying greetings and salutations. Aaron, it's kind of funny. I have several trading floors now, more than one, where they tell me that people who watch my videos now are coming into the trading floor. That's how they're starting their day by, greetings and salutations. I've had a couple of firms, Brian, ask me to make a special video for people at their firm, like greetings and salutation videos for their birthday or, it's become a thing. I don't know if you know, Brian, but I start every video on the channel with greetings and salutations, test takers. All right. I passed my legs a couple weeks ago. Woohoo! Curtis Cutler. I'm not sure, Curtis. Are you related to Stephen Cutler, a very famous securities attorney? First try. Woo! Dean and Brian were the icing on the cake of the journey. Well, kudos on completing your test taking registration hat trick. Right? There's the hat trick. Right there. Now, Brian, I got a question for you as a hockey guy. Can you have a failed exam and still get the hat trick? Does it have to be 3 successes in a row?
It doesn't necessarily. No. It doesn't have to be in the row. No.
Okay, so if somebody like missed their mark on one, do we still say they got a hat trick?
That's correct. Three
Okay.
goals in a game.
All right. So if you miss on goal, that's okay. You're still
That's right. There is a name for if you do it. If you were the 3 goals in a row, rather than intermittent with other players and goals, but I don't even know what that is. Who cares? 3 successes. Hurrah.
I'm not gonna work too hard on this cigar. If it doesn't come alive here pretty quick, I'm just gonna say, you know what? It wasn't meant to be. And we'll light up a Laroma del Yucua. Happy New Year, Jeff. Happy New Year. How's our friend from Minnesota? I have all kinds of friends from Minnesota. Looks like Amy Klobuchar may run for governor. I think she'd make a great governor. She's, when she was running for president, only my Minnesotan friends, Larissa. She did her what do you call it, announcement? It's like, Brian, it's like 30 below zero. And all these Minnesotans are outside. And I'm like, oh, man, I can't handle that. That's just crazy. Taking the 65 on February 13th. I'm starting my studying today. Had to stop because of personal issues. Hey, listen, Jeff, we need to remember somebody took me to task on Thanksgiving and Christmas. And I said that we should know there are things that are more important than these tests. And sometimes when you put too much emphasis on these tests, instead of those other things that should have a higher priority, it just makes it harder to study. So I think if you need to take a pause, you did the right thing. This came up, Brian, when it was Thanksgiving and Christmas. And I said, hey, test takers, relax. Enjoy the fellowship and the holidays and get back to it, after those holidays. And the guy said, well, the holidays will always be there. But, if you miss your exam, I said, listen, I've been doing this for decades. I have never heard anybody say they missed their exam because they weren't studying on Thanksgiving or Christmas. And, and I said, and I just want, again, tough love, tell you that you assume that next Christmas and next Thanksgiving will be the same, but there might be people who are not there any longer. And so, I suggest you take it off. If you have to, come back to it the next day, whatever. I work full-time and going to reread the whole Kaplan book. This is my 4th attempt. Okay, well, make sure now, Jeff, I want to make sure you don't take forever to reread that whole Kaplan book. So if you're going to do that, let's just make it an accelerated, quick read through before you get back to it, right? So this is your 4th attempt. You have 180 day. Okay, so you already did that February 13th. I don't want you to get bogged down in rereading the book. I'm not ever going to say don't read the book. But I just want to make sure we don't get stuck there. Let's make sure we give a date certain when we're going to have the book read, and we're going to move on to the next part of our execution of our study plan. Your thoughts on that, Brian?
Absolutely. I was thinking the exact same thing. On your 4th attempt, I don't see any reason why you have to read that textbook cover to cover again. However, watch Dean's videos module by module to cover all of the content, and or my video course as well. And then do some subsequent quizzes after each module to kind of ramp you up again. And it's only going to take you, 4 days, 5 days to get through Dean's or my videos, right? And then after that, take a simulated exam just to kind of take inventory. Where are you? What are your weak areas? Look at that performance tracker, find those weak areas. That way you concentrate your study on the most relevant content and not wasting your time on 680 pages of superfluous dung.
Jeff.
Did they say that clearly enough?
So Jeff, I would tell you the advantages. Let's talk about advantage and disadvantage. I think the videos are great to put a dent in the reading or to consolidate the reading. So maybe watch a video before you do the unit, or, after you do the reading, do the video. Now, the advantage to Brian's video, it's a paid supplement, but as I said, he has distillation. So there's nothing there that isn't something that is important on your exam. With me, it's a little more like a buffet, as I said, and it might take you longer to figure out which playlist. I have in 65, for example, I think 5 playlists. So you might want to consider purchasing Brian's paid supplement just because it's more consolidated. Again, I'm just worried about this taking forever for you to read the book. And if you watch Dean's videos, please, we got 9 million plus views. I'm not sure if that's one person watching 9 million times or how many people that is, but consider adding Brian's supplement. Now, as I said, the other thing, Jeff, I like about Brian's supplement, if you do get it, or you could do the 65 practice test a la carte, let's say you buy his whole program, it's about $100. You put that away. I would tell people, if you're going to buy Brian's program, put that test geek practice test somewhere away and use that as your last intellectual inventory 2-3 days out. That'll give you a really good mark of where you're at. Please, if you have a question you don't like Brian has one, I get people giving me grief all the time about CDs versus money markets.
I get it.
Just call Brian. He's more than happy to talk to you about, questions and, why he's got the answer he's got.
That's right, Jeff. And remember, I'm not trying to sell videos here. I want to make sure that your studying for the fourth attempt is the most efficient. So you want to concentrate on the most efficient content, being Dean's videos or mine or whomever's. So you don't have to waste all that time with 600 pages, of which 40% will never show up.
Yeah, that's true too. That's true.
Be efficient about it.
And Brian, just to confirm, we're always here to help people. In fact, Brian, sometimes backstage when we're done, this is proof he's not trying to sell videos, because he'll get it well, we didn't answer many questions tonight. I'll think we had a rollicking, fun time, smoking and drinking. But we didn't help many test takers. I go, okay, I guess that's the mission. I guess that's what we should be doing. Passed the 65 several months ago. Started my advisors yesterday. Woo!
Excellent. Right. That's what we're here for, Dean. That right there.
There you go. I've had several comments this last several days from people who are now making a good living in our industry, taking care of their family, so they can join Brian and I and drinking scotch and smoking cigars.
Or not.
Yeah, or not. There you go. I'm not sure grade 65. I'm not sure, Nibula. Am I pronouncing that right? What that means? Were you earlier and that's your score?
Yes. That's
okay.
Correct.
So the reason I ask is 60 plus, I think, is not a knowledge deficit. I'm not saying we need to go learn more. We do. But, below 60 is a knowledge deficit. I mean, you didn't know what you were being asked. You didn't know what answers were being offered to you. And so Brian and I both kind of think that when somebody gets a 60, particularly twice, when people are having a challenging passing 1, 2, 3 times, we think it's more of a testing issue, a test taking issue, not so much you haven't, done what you should do to learn the information. So that's why I asked about your score. I wanted to see if you were in that 60 plus category, which sometimes is more frustrating, by the way, those high 60s. Missed it in the 70 with one point on the 70 range. Very, very frustrating. But most firms, that's why they'll continue to send you down there, because they know what Brian and I know, that you put in the work for whatever reason. You're just, would I go so far, Brian, to say not a good test taker, or
yes,
need to be a better test taker? I'm trying to say that tactfully, however I say that.
That's
I see Brian's got his board. Let me get Brian his board here. Let me just give you your board, Brian. There you go.
Yeah, see, now the 66, this is really so symptomatic of the Series 66. After you've gone through the SIE and the 7 with relatively little to no trouble, and then you come up against the Series 66. It happens so many times, right? That's why Dean and I did that podcast, to kind of give you an overview of the terrain. Now, for the Series 66, you got to make sure, look at your score sheets from both exams. There's typically an area or two. Calculate the actual percentage of all 4 of them to find your weakest areas. The first 2 typically are the lowest for most people, and the laws and regs are typically the highest. Not every time, but it's actually a great majority of them where this is true. So find these weak areas. For example, the economic business information, that's all your balance sheets, your income statements, debt to equity, book value, quantitative analysis, all that wonderful stuff. Time value of money. Investment vehicles. Why does somebody with a Series 7 have a hard time with investment vehicles on the Series 66? That sucks. That shouldn't be. It's because of the stuff that's not on the 7. Discounted cash flow, futures and forwards, life insurance. Those are some of the areas that you want to look at first. Let's bolster those. These are questions that everybody gets on the 66. See, as Dean said, I just concentrate on the stuff that everybody gets. Okay?
True.
So those are the first things you want to look at, are those scores.
I love it. Love it. Love it. 63 and 60 minutes. Oh, yeah. That was a very popular series I've done. I then did 63. I'm working my way through Mighty 90 minutes. somebody on social media today said, should I watch both of those? They're not the same videos, but I think the guy had a good point. No, I don't expect on the night of or morning of you're going to watch the Series 63 in 60 minutes. And I have a version called the Mighty 90 on the Uniform Securities Act. Pick one. Would you want the 60-minute version? You want the 90-minute version? So, Brian, I always tell Brian, we did our 5th anniversary. The channel was December 27th, and we had a party and celebrated. And one of the things when I started the channel that I was told by every social media person is that nobody would watch a 60-minute video. To be on YouTube, you got to have a 15-minute video. You got to have a hook. And, I'm an OG. I just said, well, all I knew I had to do is play and record. And it's funny that now people don't say that any longer. In fact, I have 90-minute videos, 3-hour videos. And so kind of put that theory to the test. SI in a week. I get super confused about terminology, about you get, I think, a mind meld here. So there are 2 types of contracts, calls and puts. That's it. And you can either buy them or sell them. So that means we have 4 basic option positions, right? So the word long, whether it's long a call or long a put, means that you're establishing a choice and you're paying money out. That's what long means. In fact, I'm going to be in Vegas tomorrow, and I told Brian, hey, maybe we'll hook up at the casino, and we're going to do an opening purchase. An opening purchase is how we establish our position within the casino. They're doing an opening sale, right? So we're long, they're short, right? So long a call is a choice to buy, right? I like, my family drives me nuts. I drive them nuts, man, because I'll say, hey, I can't do that. I'm short a tutoring session. I collected to the premium, $395. So I'm obliged to deliver an hour tutoring. If I didn't want to be obliged, I shouldn't have collected the money. People, I tease them. I said, you did an opening purchase. You're long the tutoring session. You have a choice. Right now, what Brian has put up there is something Brian and I believe in, which is called the options matrix. I call it, what do you call it? The beauty chart? You call it the aerobics or something?
That's right.
Yeah. So there's our 4 basics. Now, the other thing I would add to this before you look at the chart there that Brian has is that if you tell us you missed your mark on the SIE because of options, I would say, you had bigger problems elsewhere. You're going to get 3 very basic questions about options. The ones you typically get on the SIE men are recognition, like when does the option agreement have to be back? What's the difference between American and European style exercise? That kind of thing. Brian, your thoughts on the SIE as it relates to options?
2 to 4. Yep. 2 to 4. Average is 3 questions. There is 1 or 2 basic option structure questions.
Yeah.
When is it in the money? When is it out of the money?
There's one about intrinsic value on a put, for example. Absolutely. So, Madden, if you want to go to my channel, or I'll link it to you. But I have an option playlist, and the first video is options basics. So watch that. That gives you every question you're going to encounter on the SIE as it relates to options. About an hour. If you want, you can watch the other 3. But I have a playlist in the SIE, and it has options on it. And that chart, the reason I bring it up is Brian has that on his whiteboard there. But we don't have time in a live stream to kind of develop that further for you. But there you have all your basic positions. What I would do, Madden, is think of what Brian has on his board is A, B, C, D. And if I ask you on your SIE, which of the following is a right to buy the stock at the strike price, you'd say A, long call. If I ask you on the SIE, which of the following option positions is an obligation to sell the stock, you'd say B, short call. If I say which of the following is an option position giving the holder, again, this is the challenge of what about terminology, holder, buyer, owner, somebody who's long the choice to sell the stock, that'd be choice C, long put. If I have what obliges you to buy the stock, short put, that would be the D choice. So I would think you'd see Brian's on SIE, Madden, see that in a B, C, D choice about recognizing that position and what that position is. All right.
And remember, the words long and short simply mean buy or sell.
That's right. Man, I told you, I like to have fun. I like to go into Starbucks and go, I'd like to go long a venti.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm surprised they go short a venti. Right? That means they've collected my money, but they haven't delivered the venti yet. Right. So, yeah, that's just, I agree with you. Vocabulary. Well, man, that's kind of why it's called the Securities Industry Essential Exam, because you do need to learn the language of the business, right? You need to learn the language of the business. Well, thank you, Bobby, and thanks for joining us from LinkedIn. Oh, man, look at all those testing victories. Woo-hoo. Let me know what cigars you like. I'd love to give you. Hey, doesn't have to be, Bobby, under $100. The gift or gratuity rule does not apply to gurus and test geeks. The alms that you would give your guru or your test geek is all good. I don't think I have a cigar, Bobby. Even the ones I smoke are pretty expensive, but they're not $100. So I smoke, my favorites are my father's. I smoke a lot of my father's cigars, a lot of Olivas, Cubans, Monte Cristo, number 2. I found those for $40 the other day, that was a pretty good deal. So, and like I say, not a problem. Somebody asked me for my dress and I get lots of good stuff. I showed that tequila I got, but it was a little too sweet for me. So, we'll see. And I guess, I don't know what our statute is for ringing the bell. So I'm not sure when all those testing victories were, but you still qualify for the bell. You still qualify for some Lagavulin as a toast. And I gave up on the Romeo Juliet gift and went to my La Roma de Cuba, which is a much better cigar. And I'm going to feel bad when I have to tell this guy this cigar sucked. I'm taking the 65, January 22nd, 55 to 70. How do you recommend I study? I keep doing the practice exams on, well, you should keep doing them. But remember the purpose of the practice exams, so you can do too many of them. You're not mindlessly doing practice exams to, learn from them. What you're doing practice exams is to identify areas where you're weak for remediation. So I'm not sure what your focus on practice exams is. I would say Healthy Indian Podcast. I would tell you no more than one practice test a day. It should take you as much time to remediate that practice test as it did to take it, and then take a break. Don't go on to the next practice test until you've remediated, you've improved areas, and that will get those scores to incrementally get better. So I'm thinking, what is this, January 6th? I think it's a little early to be doing a lot of practice tests. Brian and I think best practice is to start doing the intellectual inventory of a practice test 7 to 10 days out. So I think this is a little early to be doing practice tests. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, I keep doing practice exams. These might be, from those scores, it appears these might be just custom quizzes or custom exams and not truly a structured simulated exam.
Okay, well, that's okay.
Yes,
we're trying to figure this out. I think that's way too much variance. I mean, 70 isn't bad, but 55 is. So there's a lot of variance in there. So that would explain the variance, Brian. If the Brian is correct and these are custom quizzes, then I would say to you that you shouldn't be moving on if you got a 55. Because if you're doing a custom quiz on, let's say unit 1, and you're getting a 55, you don't move on. You remediate that unit 1 until you get a 70. I would even think a little higher than 70. I like mid 70s before you move on. So there wouldn't be another 55 or, on a unit, because you'd fix it as you go. So if you keep fixing as you go, remediating as you go, assuming these are custom quizzes, about 7-10 days out, now we do the practice test, get a complete intellectual inventory, and again, look for those areas that we can improve, right?
Exactly.
From New Jersey, New York. All right. Woo-hoo. Oh, there we go. Okay, I like that. But I don't like, so here's what I don't like. I don't like the 30 questions, 30-minute break, 30 questions, 30-minute break. I believe in study blocks of 60 to 90 minutes with a 30-minute break. So if you were a full-time study, you come to work at 8 o'clock, 8 to 9:30, study block 1, 10 to 11:30, study block 2, lunch, come back from lunch, 1 to 2:30, 3 to 4:30. That's 4 study blocks. That's 90 minutes. That's 6 hours a day. That's max. And I would not want you to do 30 questions and then a 30-minute break and 30 questions. I'd like you to do 90 minutes of questions if you're going to do questions, or 90 minutes of watching a video, or 90 minutes of reading, or, doing a custom quiz, or again, maybe you do the reading, video, and custom quiz in that 90-minute block. So I would say I don't like that. For me, that's too small a chunk. So I think 30 minutes and a 30-minute break, I just, I don't like it. I would like a more sustained period of time before we take a break. How one test with 100, how I don't know how one test with 140 questions. Well, it's like anything, you got to build up your stamina. And so in Brian and I, what we believe in when you're doing those custom quizzes is you don't move on to custom unit 3 until you've done a custom quiz of unit 2, and then you do a combined custom quiz and you put more questions in it. So we think 25, 30 questions per unit. So unit 1, then unit 2, 25, 30 questions. Now the custom quiz on the 2 units would be 50. You keep moving that up, and by the time you get 7-10 days out, you'll be prepared to sit down and do 140 questions. So it's an incremental process. You should, again, and I wouldn't want you to be doing 140 questions at this point in your study plan. The simulated exams, 140 questions should be towards the end. My name is Yuming Shah. Oh, I like that. Yuming Shah. I like that. Well, thank you, Bobby. Look at that. Nice bow tie. Looks nice. Yeah. Oh, there you go. I think we had that one already.
Yeah.
Does that mean Bobby's buying me 2 cigars, or is that a repeat? Oh, we got Bobby on 2. Look at that. He's got 2 profiles. I think it's the same Barry. Not Barry Sanders, Barry Saunders.
Bobby.
I was tutoring a professional football player. He's retired now. His name is Raymondo. And I just couldn't help but buy a box of El Rey do Mundos, which is the king of the world cigar. And I was teasing Ray. I said, man, just meeting you makes me think I got to have a box of El Rey do Mundos. Let's see. Boom, boom, boom. Well, that's okay. That's okay. Corey, don't beat yourself up. Give yourself some grace tonight. Not everybody sails smoothly through their testing journey. So a little misfortune, a little adversity, that's okay. You're going to go back down there and slay that Series 7 Dragon. So you have a little bit of a wait period here. If that was December 27th, so the hurt is still fresh. While the hurt is still fresh, please watch my podcast episode. You failed. Is it over? The answer is it's not. Spoiler alert. I have 5 recommendations about what you should do in response. One of those is to sit down with yourself, first one, and do an intellectual debrief using the Series 7 content outline. You'll find a link to that video in the video description, but don't let it get you down. I would like to know what your score was, Corey. And again, if you're comfortable sharing that, you'll be the chat. I don't replay chats, but as it is when we're doing live stream, if you participate in the chat, people can see your stuff. So I guess I should say, so don't get silly either. I took a practice on the FINRA NASAA, got a 78. That's great. That's fantastic. You're ready to go, Madden. So I'd like to know when you're testing. I'm hoping it's tomorrow. It's very accurate. I think is the best example of that. You might want to check out, Madden, in my SIE playlist for practice tests. I have lots of practice tests, including Brian's. Brian was kind enough to give it. Somebody was commenting on that, Brian, on social media. They liked your SIE practice test, which, no surprise. But anyways, I did a doppelganger version, Madden, of that. So check that out. What I did was I kept their answer sets, and then I just changed the answers or changed the questions. So I took the SIE FINRA exit practice test, kept their answer sets, because their wrong answers are right answers to different questions. And so I just wrote a different question that would match up. So try that. I think that would be fun. But no worries, you should feel good. Borderline performance on Seek Business from the BD. Well, that's not as important as opening new accounts. Opening new accounts is bigger. That's easier to fix. That's joint tenants, rights of survivorship, that kind of thing, right? So I'd like to know what you did in Unit 3, because that's 91 questions.
That's the big one.
So that's the big one. So I don't think either of these were the killer there. And I would like a score if you get around to putting it in the chat. Happy New Year! Woo! Yasha going to do it. There you go. Very cut provides very low on section 4. Well, what was section 3 though? I mean, section 3, 2. I think we skipped one there, Corey. What did you get on section 3? Because that's 91 questions. So even that's borderline. That means you left all kinds of points on the table.
Low performance on section 2 and section 3.
Where's that
If
at?
you kind of read those together.
Oh, there you go. All right. Section 3 is for anybody taking Series 7, the most important section is section 3. That's in providing recommendations. That's investment vehicles. Of those 90, 1 or 2 questions, I was going to say maybe experimental, but out of those 91, the majority of those questions are going to be on options, munis, and mutual funds. About 20 plus on each of those. That's like 60 questions right there. Well, we just answered that question. We knew that question was coming, Corey. And I think, Brian, I've told us you need to focus on that section 3, those 91 questions on investment vehicles and recommendations. Failed by 3 points. I got 4 or so questions on Medicare. Well, yeah, they're there. Yeah, there shouldn't be material. IRMA is definitely there. So you're going to get IRMA questions about that adjustment surcharge for high income individuals. What other questions on Medicare, Brian, have you heard about?
IRMA's the most common one. And I have a personal story since I guess I'm revealing my age. I just turned Medicare age in September.
Yeah.
I just got my IRMA bill. Dean, do you know how much it was?
How much?
$4,000.
Oh my God. But Brian, you know what we're going to say is that means you're blessed, right? Because the surcharge is based on your income, right?
Everybody tells me. I guess. It's a dual-edged sword, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what is
a premium on Part B of Medicare that's tied to your income?
Yeah.
So the higher income you make, the higher premiums you pay for Part B. That's probably where that question's coming from. I'm getting a lot of that. I'm not hearing too much of other things.
Yeah, no, that's why I was asking if you heard, because when you say 3 or 4 questions, Brian and I both know this is there, but I haven't heard on debrief of, more than this, really. Maybe knowing that, what do you think about this? How about recognizing that for some folks, Medicare wouldn't be a source of that. Maybe it would be part of the capital needs. I don't know. It could be tied into, do you need health insurance or, I don't know. But that one shows up all the time. So, can you tell us or teach us something that we all see on the SIE? That's too broad a question, or just in general. Well, even you tell me question
on your SIE 7 and 66.
They're all different exams.
Watch his video. Watch my video.
No, that's
what everybody gets.
we can't help you with questions like how does the universe work. We can help you with questions like IRMA or particular questions. What I would tell you, Grog Hound, is I said you're welcome to join me in a weekly Q&A or a coaching call or an office hour. And in there, what people bring is their particular questions, QID, and then we can riff on that and tell you what you're going to see, right? We just told everybody taking a 65, 66, they should be prepared for a question on IRMA, right? So if people are taking a particular test and have a particular thing they want to ask us, we're more than happy to do that. Brian, what do you think? Is there anything we can do on that? I just think it's too broad for us to be helpful.
Yeah, my class notes basically is the broad content of each exam. So class notes.
Yeah, Brian does a good job on his class notes.
You can buy those separately, a PDF on my website.
Yeah. I consider it to be kind of like I'm dating myself. Does anybody know what Cliff Notes are anymore?
That's what they are. Yeah.
Yeah. So but Brian, I don't know if anybody knows what a Cliff Note is.
I know.
So if you know what a Cliff Note is, well, then Brian's class notes would be the analogy.
That's right.
Yeah, I think so. Brian is pretty good on particularly NASAA exams, putting that foreign language into plain English.
65.
Yeah. 71. I told you, Casey, those just hurt, man. They just hurt. I mean, we, almost, well, I would say very, very rarely do we have somebody who just blew it completely. Like, I mean, they were, blown out. They got less than a 60. And so that's what's so frustrating about those kind of scores. Did you change answers? That's the first thing I ask people. Did you have too much test anxiety? You didn't get a night's sleep. I mean, it's unfortunately not that you didn't know it, unfortunately, Casey. I mean, that's not helpful now. But as I told you, most employers know that, and I'm sure they're going to send you back down there again, right? Overthink it, changing answers,
Yeah.
anxiety. By the way, Brian, the person who passed, she was struggling on her 66. I told you she passed this morning. And she said, well, I've got Brian's materials. I've got STC. I got Kaplan. And I got Ken Finnan's videos. And on this particular topic, they all say different things.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I said, listen, you're in the weeds. I said, I don't think so. I can't see what you're looking at, but I think it's probably just RTFQ. You're not reading the full question or the answer set. Given that, though, I would go with my friend Brian on those kind of issues. Is it? But why are you, focused on that narrow piece of it? You should be on the larger kind of, broad avenues and highways of that. And then, Brian, it was worse because I do have Brian's content. I can bring up Brian and Kaplan backstage and see what you're looking at. I can't bring up STC or, no surprise, I don't watch Ken's videos. So that I can't be helpful, but I can certainly do that. And then when we got it done kind of taking care of it, then she goes, well, what if Brian would have said this? I go, oh my God, the test is hard enough already without making up your own questions. I mean, please don't do that. That's not what he said. Right? So.
This is the most dangerous question in the test world.
What if? Yeah, what if they meant?
You cannot be asking that.
Yeah, they don't. Brian and I are telling you they don't.
It's A plus B equals C.
Yeah, I got it. I think, Brian, what's your term for that? Stay linear?
It's a linear test. Exactly.
Yeah. Would you recommend Achievable? I don't. No, I wouldn't recommend Achievable. I think Achievable was a great supplement for the Series 7, but I don't think it's a good primary source. And here's why. You could pass the SIE with Achievable, no problem, but you could pass that with my video playlist on SIE. My biggest issue with Achievable is the variance in their practice test scores to the actual exam.
That's right.
And so if you're solely relying, by the way, and I would just say in general, I don't believe in monogamy as it relates to test preps, right? If you can add additional resources, free supplements, paid supplements, why not? But I'm not a big fan of Achievable as a standalone for the 7. So be clear what I said. If you want to, use it as a supplement, I got no problem. I love Brandon Riff. He's the guy who created that content, but he's been gone a long time. I don't know if Ken Finnan's doing it on a volunteer basis or Tyler thinks he's a subject matter expert, which he's not. So, I'm not a big fan of it as a primary. If you're going to use a primary, Kaplan's a great primary study material. That's Brian and I's favorite. STC, can't go wrong. Notman Marks, you can't go wrong. I think Past Perfect is a little too obtuse, but good news, I guess. Better to have too much than not enough. If you're scoring on Past Perfect, well, you should pass. I think Exam FX and Training Consultants are a little skinny. So again, if you're going to use them, I would say supplement. I'd say the same thing about Achievable. If you're going to use them, supplement. Get a Kaplan Q Bank to go with it. Check it out and listening to 65 and 90 minutes. Your Guru Geek videos on 65 are very helpful. I love it. That's what we're here for, Casey. So we'll find you those points. We'll drag you across that finish line. So we'll get you past the gun there. Where can I get your test reviews, QBank, etc.? Well, he doesn't have a QBank, remember. He has a set of videos. Let's see if I can do this on the fly, Brian. I think I can. I think I've had you.
I don't do a QBank. Everybody's got 3,000.
What do you want me to put in the banner, Brian? You want me to put
the Test Geek Exam Prep.teachable.com.
Okay. Give it to me again. Test Geek
Exam Prep.teachable.com.
Okay, here you go. Coming up right now. There we go. So that's where you can find Brian's stuff. Okay. Uh-oh. Might have in my comments.
Yeah. Where's the blue one?
Would you recommend Achievable? No. So let's see. Thank you. There we go. Okay, I think I'm back in business here. Starting for Series 7, pass the SIE and 66 in insurance. What should I be focusing on most, Brandon? Be focusing on first understanding what it looks from bookend to bookend, cover to cover, get the idea of the terrain that the Series 7 encompasses, but stay focused on Unit 3, Function 3, the 4 functions of being a broker or find money, move money, place money, or as it relates to the content outline, prospecting, finding a customer, opening a new account, function 2, making the investment, function 3. What happens after that, function 4? Of those 4 functions, the biggest one is investment recommendations, investment vehicles, 91 questions. So that's where you should focus. Hope that it's not challenging. Well, Larissa, if you're just getting started, every person is different about where they found it challenging or not. Larissa, I don't, listen, I'm not going to rain on people's parade, but I hate it when people on social media, some of them, oh, I took this SIE, what a joke. Well, then you find out they have an MBA in finance, or they've been doing this for a long time. And so, everybody's a little different. And so I wouldn't worry about the journey as it relates to you, and you will find out whether it's challenging or not. So this is the bad part of social media. So, just stay focused on your own testing journey. I would say, I think, Larissa, you'll find it's mostly recognition, very little practical application, 2-3 questions, vocabulary, terminology, and very little, if any, judgment questions. So it should be doable. It should be doable. Passed the 65 last week. Woo! I got a shocking amount of options questions. That's crazy. Yeah, that is crazy.
Which was fun.
Yeah, it's usually, what do you think? 4 or 5 on options and derivatives?
Can be up to 5. Yep. I got 4 years ago. Yep. Why were you surprised that there was a forwards question?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah.
Futures and forwards. There's always 1 to 3 questions on that.
Yeah.
That's what really kind of surprises me when people say, well, I didn't expect a futures question.
I'm not sure what a shocking amount is. So if shocking is 4 or 5, Brian and I are thinking you should have expected that. And that would include forwards, because that's part of that category called derivatives. Yeah. Good evening from Westport, Connecticut. Good evening. Taking my 7 January 30th using Notman. Love Notman. I feel sorry, if, Brian Marks has no ego in a good way. But, he took over the company from Notman, who's retired. It's called Notman Marks. And Brian Marks is just a hell of a guy. It is white glove service, Andrew. They charge extra, but they're worth every penny of it, I think. And I've had many students, Andrew, who Brian Marks actually personally calls them out of the blue and says, hey, I'm just checking in on your testing journey. So I'm a big, big fan. They are more difficult than the actual exam by design. So, if you can doing well on their benchmark exams, you should be in good shape. So big fan, big fan. Their custom exams. I'm not sure. I think we're out of sequence here, Shaw. So if you can tell me where we are from STC. Okay.
Custom exams.
Well, I think that if I can recall earlier in the live stream, you said you were getting 55 to 70. And so I don't think you should make a custom. Brian and I don't call that a custom exam. We call that a custom quiz. A custom exam is the 140 questions, not the 20 or 30 with the 30-minute break. Those are quizzes. It's it's more of a naming thing, I guess, nomenclature. But, we would want you to do custom quizzes, which you are. But I don't like the 55. And again, we don't know enough about your journey, but that should be remediated. That should not be showing itself again. We shouldn't see another 55 on whatever that quiz was about. Yeah, see where you deserve everything you've done for the community. And for me, it's incredible. Well, thank you. Past your 7 December 31st. Fully registered. All right. Woo. Yeah, well, Brian and I were just talking on Mr. Ponchi. Both of us are pretty blessed. And I told Brian, we having troubles coming back. It's kind of like, I'm like, I'm enjoying just, being off grid and, enjoying myself. But hey, 2026, here we come. 64%. Okay. So Corey, that means you got a good look at the dragon. You didn't slay him, but you know what he looks like. So next time you go into the cave, you will, wasn't a drive-by. You didn't get smoked before you actually, saw him. Wow. Welcome, Luke. That is resiliency. I love that. Love that.
Boy, that feels good. I know that feels good, Luke.
Yeah, that's good. Those testing victories are sweeter. We had Luke, another guy named Vince, kind of like you, and I got so excited about his testing victory that I had to say to people, just because Brian and I are so excited that you passed not only your 7, but that test of resiliency, which is a leading indicator of your future success in the securities industry. And then I had to tell people, well, no, we would prefer you pass the first time. You don't want to, there's no character being built by doing it the hard way. But, nobody will be able to tell you that. Finished all chapters of the custom exams. Okay. All right. Well, okay, that's fine. But make sure that 30-minute break you're taking, if you add it all up, is within the time frame you need to actually take the test.
Yeah.
Yeah, they cease trading at 4. Those are different questions. So 3 things can happen, Jennifer, to an option contract. This is very testable. A good way to remember the 3 things that can happen to an option contract is the option contract can be traded, T-E-E. The option contract can be traded. So that means if you did an opening purchase, you can do a closing sale. If you did an opening sale, you can do a closing purchase. So the option contract can be traded. The option contract can be exercised. If at expiration, the option contract has intrinsic value, it will be exercised. So, Jennifer, I'm under no obligation on the test to tell you whether or not an option got exercised. If I say it's an Apple 250 call and I tell you at expiration Apple's 255, you should know that contract got exercised. And then the option contract, to your point, can expire. And options are a wasting asset. Time value erodes. At expiration, if the option contract has no intrinsic value, the option contract will expire worthless. Be careful. That's not a question about the investor. I didn't tell you what could happen to an investor. Investors can make money, lose money, or break even. I said what can happen to an option contract. Now, if that option contract expires worthless, that's going to be good news for the person who sold it because they agreed to be a potential victim. Nobody victimizes them and they keep the money. It was an option contract you purchased, then that's your loss, right? You paid for an option contract that has no value. Now, in terms of what you just said, Jennifer, that is correct. So be careful. Are you being asked when do options expire? I'd be a little tighter on that. It's not 11:59 Eastern Standard Time. It's the 3rd Friday of the month at 11:59 and cease trading. I see, Brian, you got your board out. There you go. Brian's got a nice little, love it.
Yeah, I remember getting this question when we did live classes all the time, Dean, right? How can it cease trading at 4 p.m. but not expire until midnight? That's just an administrative process for the exchange and broker dealers. Why there's that discrepancy between when they stop trading and when they expire.
And we've been screwing it up all the time.
Who cares? Stop thinking about that stuff.
Okay. Well, I don't know. Would you think, Jennifer, am I overthinking it and doing Jennifer a disservice to say that
No, not at all.
That she should know that the OCC, Jennifer, I just told you if they haven't, they're going to be exercised. The OCC does that test question randomly, and that's a test question. And then the firm could do it randomly, FIFO or another fair method. What do you think, Brian? Do you think that's testable? I do.
Yeah, and again, how much of that exchange stuff survived the cut from
okay. The other thing I would
to the now top off 7.
Okay. Well, here's the other thing I would say too, Jennifer and Brian.
Yeah.
If you're struggling with option strategies, make sure you get all the option recognition questions you're entitled to. Like, when does the option agreement have to be back within 15 days of account approval? Jennifer, one of my all-time favorite students was Roberta from Fidelity. And she said, Dean, I'm really struggling with options. And those days, they actually gave you the score if you passed or not. And I said, well, Roberta, you're pretty solid on everything else. I mean, you've been working at Fidelity for 10 years, so it's not like you don't know what a mutual fund or a stock is. And I said, so, maybe we just fight a holding action in options and make sure we get all we can get through recognition, maybe some basic practical application. Jennifer, I love it. She got a 72. Perfect score. Maximized her study efforts. Didn't learn any more than was required. Right? So, registering for the SIE exam today, Seattle. I have 150 pages of notes. Oh my God. Well, don't rewrite the book, Bradley. Yeah, don't rewrite the book. 74 average on practice tests. Love it. 3 is done for today till a Series 7 pass. Okay, well, I don't know. Let's say 2-3 weeks for the SIE, 5-6 weeks for the 7. So what do you think, Brian? 3 months to get a pass on the 7?
Yep.
I think that's about right. Easy way to understand par. I think the easy way to understand par is playing golf, right? If it's a par 5 hole, that means you should get into the hole in 5 strokes. Some people can do it at less than par, 3 strokes. Some people can do it over par, 7 strokes, right? So that's par. Par is $1,000 for bonds. Par recognition test question. Par for preferreds is 100. Par for a stock is $1. I'll refer you to my video on called the teeter-totter seesaw. And I don't know, Shaw, if you're the same person who asked us to give answers to things you'll see on all the exams, but this is another example of a very broad question, better addressed in a weekly Q&A jam session or in a video, not in this live stream. But let me tell you what the teeter-totter is good for, or seesaw. The teeter-totter or seesaw turns judgment questions into aim and shoot, point and click questions. Anytime I can do that, I'm a big fan, right? So if we can turn a judgment, aim and shoot judgment question. The second thing I would say is that if anybody ever asks you about finance, economics, or investments, and you want to sound smart, you should say it has a lot to do with interest rates. And if people say, what about them? You say they fluctuate. They say, is that good news or bad news? You say, it depends. Can you tell me more? We assume everybody in our business knows that when interest rates go up, bonds go down. So if we're looking at a bond at less than par discount, that definitely is testable. And that means since the bond was issued, interest rates have gone up, brand new bonds pay more, and that bond is trading at less than par. But you don't really care about that. What you care about is yield to maturity. And if you're looking at a bond trading for more than par premium, that means since the bond was issued, interest rates have gone down, causing the bond go up. It pays 8, new ones pay 6. Very testable. This is not the place, I think, to answer that question. For those struggling, write down every question you get wrong, why you got it wrong, and the correct path. Cool. I like that. That's a good suggestion. It looks like, Brian, we're at our end here, so let's see what I got going on. I want to book an hour or two with you for tutoring. I'm completely booked. We can do that at deantenneytutoring.setmore.com. Oh, the Series 10 Luciano is a real slog. So how to maximize these sessions? Well, I don't solicit it, so I don't tell you why you should do tutoring. Book the tutoring, and I'll give you a call, and we can talk about how to maximize those sessions. I had a guy today, Brian. He wants tutoring in the SIE. I'm just too booked to have conversations with you about whether you need tutoring or not. So if you decide that you can use tutoring to plug a gap, Dean Tenney Tutoring, setmore.com, I'm more than happy. But if you send me emails, you give me voicemails that you want to talk about tutoring, you're not going to hear from me because I'm just too busy. I get literally hundreds of thousands of unsolicited emails and requests, and I just can't possibly contend with them. All right, let's see. Are we ready to do our drawing? Well, thank you. We got to do that. Yes, thank you so much for the super chat. We appreciate that. Where should I start from your content? Well, I have my content organized in playlists. The playlists are in suggested watch order. The videos in the suggested playlists are in what suggested watch orders. Oh, I love Texas. I spent a long time in Texas. Vanguard, well, not Vanguard, Schwab and Fidelity have major operations. Marcel, we'll be thinking about you tomorrow. We'll put another Miller Lite on the board for you. We'll put it there in your honor, kind of like the Buddha stew, right? We'll make a little shrine to Marcel at William B's tomorrow. All right, let's see. Going to college, any advice? Well, join me on the coaching call and we can do that. We don't do like guidance counseling on this thing. All right, so let me go get our giveaway tool, Brian. And boom, boom, boom. Choose the live stream. At least I don't think we had any people telling us we had funky things. Now, don't put this into the chat for the coaching call drawing until I have a chance to write down what Brian has on the board, because it won't pick it up until I actually put it in the Wheel of Fortune. Okay, so Brian, what's the word for tonight?
That's an easy one.
All caps?
No.
Okay, you got to put it in just exactly how Brian has it there. If you put that in the chat, just want to make sure I got it right. January. Okay, so if you want to win the coaching call, put that in the chat. Let me go find our Wheel of Fortune. Share screen. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. There we go. And let's get rid of the banner there. Boom, boom, boom. And if you want to book tutoring or you want to collect the coaching call, I have one more thing I got to do before we actually call it a night. But let me just see here where I put that. There it is. All right, we got 11 entries. Any more entries? 12 entries. Okay, here we go. If Marcel wins, we're going to, look. Oh, man, Marcel, I thought you were going to win again. Oh, my God.
Hey, it's the
Dog. So go to deankennytutoring.setmore.com. You will see the coaching call tab under class and just sign up for that. And I'll see you then. You get a Zoom link and we'll talk about whatever you'd like to talk about. All right, Brian, I think I'm going to see you tomorrow in Las Vegas. I'll let you know. But I'm pretty sure that I'll be available if we want to have dinner or do whatever. And remember, inch by inch, your exam is a cinch. Yard by yard, your exam is hard. All right, everybody. Brian, you say?
Gotta keep it simple. Stay with what you know. You take the test. Don't let the test take you.
Woo! All right, everybody. See you next Tuesday. Bye-bye.